So I'll be joining Sleepwell as an assistant brand manager, where I'll be leading the digital marketing. I was looking for institutions that provide specialization in marketing, and I can learn from industry specialists. I can learn from people who've been working on it already. Why not directly study from them?
You would have still had apprehensions, your parents would have had apprehensions.
The biggest apprehension that I had was, it is too good to be true. Then I called up a few people who were already studying. I have eaten their heads. I have had 35 minutes of conversation asking them, are you being true? Is it actually this good? I remember the first week, I was confident. I thought I'll ace it because that is the kind of a personality I have. But once I entered the room, I was like, no, Prachi, you do not stand here. People have work experience, people who are also freshers. They have done so brilliant in their academics that you feel that, oh, can you compete with them? I can see my growth from the first week to now. I cannot think there have been a better place than Altera. Altera, which says that you will be applying what you learn, is actually true.
Hi everyone. Today we have with us Prachi from the class of 2025. We're in the month 10 of the program, and I'm very excited to share that Prachi has already cracked a top brand role at one of India's leading household consumer brands. But we'll talk more about that. But first things first, Prachi, why don't you introduce yourselves to the audience?
Sure. Hello everyone, my name is Prachi Garg and I've been born and brought up in Calcutta, where I've done my schooling and undergraduation from. So since my school days, I've always been someone who loves to take up leadership positions and take up responsibilities. So I was the head girl of my school, followed by the student president at my college. So I have done various internships in various roles to understand where my interest truly lays. So while working as a social media manager for a clothing brand, I realized that my interest was in marketing. So straight out of college, I joined a luxury fragrance brand as a marketing manager while I was working there. So there I realized my strengths, but it also made me aware of my weaknesses. So that is when I decided to upskill myself and join Altera. Here at Altera, I have performed outrageously for subjects like brand management, brand building, and marketing management, and also got an opportunity to work with brands like mCaffeine and Hyphen, and also taking up responsibilities here, a member of the Miraki Club, the cultural club. So I think that would be all about me.
Just taking a step back, Prachi, if we go, 1.5 years back, where I'm sure you were still working for that luxury fragrance brand that you mentioned, but you had some career aspirations, right? You wanted something else from the field of marketing. You wanted a slightly better role. Just walk us through, what your mind space was at that time. What were the factors that you were considering? Just help us out because, I'm sure there would be more people in similar roles who would be watching this.
Correct. So while working, so as I mentioned, it was a startup. So I was the person responsible for marketing. So that gave me a lot of freedom to understand and try my hands on various activities. But what also clicked my mind that marketing cannot be something more of first principle thinking. There has to be more of a structured approach. So I often used to find myself listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos of industry specialists. So one day I thought that while I am learning from them and hearing them, then why not directly study from them? So I was looking for institutions that provide specialization in marketing, and I can learn from industry specialists. I can learn from people who have been working on it already. So I was looking for options. So I got to know about MICA, which also provides a 1-year course in specialization in marketing, Xavier's in Mumbai. And that is when I saw Altera. So Altera grasped my eye because it was exactly what I wanted. I wanted to learn from industry specialists, and that is exactly what it offered. And while working, I realized that not any single book can teach me. I mean, even if I refer to my bachelor books, it was not telling me what to do at my work. So I wanted to get hands-on experience, things that I can work directly on. So I think Altera was the perfect decision that I could make, and things just matched.
No, absolutely. This is one of the use cases that a lot of people have, that, they are in entry-level marketing roles, let's say, right? And they find value out of it, but they want more responsibilities, right? They want a seat at the table, let's say, where, actual decisions are made.
Okay.
Right? So absolutely, this makes sense. But still, look, even a year back, right, we were still a new institute. You would have still had apprehensions. Your parents would have had apprehensions. Even your peer group would have had apprehensions, even doubts upright, right? How did you solve those apprehensions? What were, any feedback or any inputs that you took from any alumni or just from any of the mentors, right? Just walk us through that process.
So honestly, the biggest apprehension that I had was, it is too good to be true. So when I was, as I mentioned, I got to know about through a Google ad while I was looking for institutions that provide marketing. So I already had to do my homework. So I got into LinkedIn, search profiles of people who are already studying. The profiles looked so similar. The profile picture, the cover picture, the description, and because the first batch was 20-25 people, so the profiles were so similar, I thought, what is it, a bot? Because when I talked to them and the feedback that I was getting was, I did not get any negative feedback. Everyone mentioned that it will be the perfect step that you will be taking. You will not gonna regret. This is the best thing that you'd want to do. So that was the biggest apprehension that I had, that how come nobody is giving me a negative feedback and how is everything so perfect? So then I called up a few people who were already studying. I have eaten their heads. I've had 30-35 minutes of conversation asking them, are you being true? Is it actually this good? And then my sister visited the campus. She had a word with Ankur, she had a word with Alek, and she was convinced. My entire bet was on Alek, and then it was like, we had to do it. This is exactly where I want to be.
No, absolutely. This is one thing, where, resolving a lot of queries from applicants, at times even their parents, there is just, if there is one input that I tell them is that, why don't you hear it from the horse's mouth, right?
Correct.
Because it's one thing to hear it from us, who are running the show behind the screen, or even from the mentors, but the kind of inputs, that you can get from students themselves, because that will be the most relatable inputs that you can get from them, right?
Correct.
And, I even recall you were, I think, one of the last students, who was through the door, because we had almost closed our applications, but we really liked your profile, and then, we did the process for you, and you actually passed through it with flying colors. And walk us through your experience over here, right? We're in the month 10 of the program, right? And, at times I still find it a bit overwhelming that you guys have been here for almost 10 months, almost a year now, as I was in the last year also, when the last batch passed out, right? Because time flies over, at least for me. But just, help me out with, what has your experience been like? What have been the key highlights? Anything that you want to, talk about your experience?
So in one word, if I had to tell you the entire experience, it will be roller coaster. So I cannot believe that I have survived 10 months here, because if I look back, I am someone who is very close to their family. And even if you ask anyone in my family, they'll be like, Prachi, going out, stepping out of Calcutta, not possible. And even I had thought that I'll be doing something nearby only and not planning to shift the city altogether. But here I am. I think it has been a wonderful experience altogether. So I remember the first week, I was confident. I thought I'll ace it, because that is the kind of a personality I have. But once I entered the room, I was like, no, Prachi, you do not stand here. The kind of competition we had was amazing. The entire batch profile that we saw, people from diverse backgrounds, and people have work experience, people who are also freshers, they have done so brilliant in their academics that you feel that, oh, can you compete with them? So the first week was amazing, and I felt that the submissions that I was making was up to the mark. But if I see it now, I'm like, what trash? This is not, why did I even submit it? So I think I can see my growth from the first week to now. And here often also when we talk, we are normally in conversation using words like BAU, I am not the correct TG. And I'm thinking, is this the conversation that we are planning to have? This is the words that we are using naturally. And I think the overall journey has really been enriching. The kind of information that I've gathered here is, I cannot think there have been a better place than Altera. And just the one anecdote will be, just trust the process. I mean, you just have to be calm. And if you want to really grow yourself and just unlearn what you learn and question what you've been learning, is that right or not, then Altera is the place.
No, absolutely. Just, getting back to one of the points that you mentioned, if, say in periods of 8 months or 10 months, even 2 or 3 months, because at times, we are not able to figure out that are we going in the right direction or not, is progress happening or not. But across a certain time period, let's say 6 months, 4 months, it could be anything. And if you come to a place where when you look back at your work from 6 months back, and if you think that, what was I doing?
Exactly.
Then, that is one marker where you can be pretty sure that, you're going in the right direction. Because I can also reflect back on my own B-School journey. This was just the one thing that, it just gave me some sort of confidence that, sure, all things said and done, I'm going in the right direction. But, just help me out, because, over here, we try to make it a lot more immersive and not make it one-way communication, and be it in terms of classes, even exams, let's say, right? But just from the overall pedagogy point of view, because I'm sure you guys had a lot of live projects and term projects and all. As you reflect back now, right? Any one piece of work that you feel really the most proud of right now, right? And which also helped you, let's say, in your conversations, with recruiters or with, anyone in the industry.
My life project was with mCaffeine. So the problem statement that we had received was mCaffeine is very well known for their eye and body care. So they wanted to expand into the next big category. So in one session while Alec was discussing, we had discussed the framework of right to win, cost to play and size of price. So us time pe we were like, yeah, this is a concept that we have learned and it was okay. So while working on the life project, when we had to come up with the category that they should build into and penetrate into, so we were struggling, honestly. We had done all research possible, and that is when it clicked my mind that this is the framework that we should use. And that was my aha moment, that this is exactly what we learned and this is how we apply. So that is the moment I realized that yes, Altera, which says that you will be applying what you learn, is actually true. So that was the moment I realized that if you are aware of the frameworks and you realize it, when to use it while working, you will ace it. And while having the conversation with the co-founder of mCaffeine, she loved our work and she's like, this is exactly the category and this is exactly the structured approach you should have taken.
No, absolutely, this is the biggest validation that you can get at all, right? Because if you have anything, any framework, any of a mental model that you learn in a class, and when you can apply it as is, let's say, or in any manner, to something that you're working on in your life project or any term project or say in any of the interviews also, right? That is when you realize that what you're learning, you will also find some application once you step in to the corporate world, right? And just coming back to one more point, which is regarding frameworks, right? I just recalled because, the first time I was storming with you guys, on the Starbucks case study, if you're able to recall, was the one thing that I told you, right? That eventually frameworks have to be like, training on a bicycle or on a tricycle, and eventually they have to come off, right? And now watching you just, using the same terminologies and eating the same message, let's say, say 10 months down the line, it just, fills me also with a lot of pride. Great. Now, Prachi, I did mention it at the start that, you are now going to be stepping into the role of a brand manager, right? You'll be working in a brand role with one of India's leading, in fact, a market leader in their own space. But I won't give a spoiler. Why don't you yourselves, the audience about, what the role is about and also about the company that you will be going to work for.
So I'll be joining Sleepwell as an assistant brand manager, where I'll be leading the digital marketing. So my responsibilities would be more about how to communicate to our audience and over the digital platforms. I'll be also responsible for their social media management, influencer collaborations, and communication across all the three funnels, and majorly over the entire communication strategy on the digital platform. So talking about the entire interview process, so I had 3 rounds of process. So the first interview was with the CMO, who is Puneet Gulati, and followed by a HR round, and third was directly with the CEO of Sheila Foams. So it was an enriching experience. And to be honest, I was scared and I really wanted to join because I loved the role it was offering. It was exactly what I've been learning from the past 10 months and I wanted to put it during my work.
I'm sure it would have been a great learning experience also, right? I mean, just interacting with CXOs of different companies, which is some part of it you would have got in terms of exposure over here during your journey also. But just coming back, right? Just one question that I personally have. Because look, Sleepwell, primarily, like at least in the minds of the audience, would be an offline first brand, let's say, right? And I'm sure, you would have also talked about this during your interview that, what is the leadership mandate on, what does digital look like for them? Because, this is something that is especially true for a lot of offline first brands, at least from a perspective of the audience, right? Because as soon as we think of digital marketing or, online funnels, channels and all, we would think about brands like, let's say, even in terms of, mattresses, let's say brands like Wakefit, or outside of that, brands like, let's say, Mamaearth and all. But specifically for this apparently offline first brand, right? What was their, perspective on what does digital look like for them?
So I think I agree to your point definitely, and this is the first time they are trying to shift now to digital. They've always been more of an offline first. So my approach and my thought process matched with the CMO while having a conversation was they are trying to shift. So what happens in a digital marketing is that you can target the correct audience. So in a traditional marketing, you are showing ads on newspapers, you're doing TV advertisements where the spill is very high. So if me as a consumer, I'm seeing the same ad and a 50-year-old is also seeing the same ad, the communication is very similar. While on the digital platform, the communication can be different.
Yeah.
And also right now the India One population, like as you mentioned, brands like Wakefit, so they are consuming those brands because they feel that these brands are talking to them.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
India One population wants that brands talk to them. So legacy brands have started to lose out their value because they have somewhere lost the audience.
Yeah.
And the communication has been similar to what they've been doing for years. So I think that is the transition for a brand like Sleepwell has to do now. And I'm really excited to be a part where I can make the communication change.
No, absolutely. And this is one space where a lot of opportunities, employment opportunities are also opening up, because a lot of brands, companies that have been, let's say, offline first, and now that they're realizing that the digital mandate for them has to be really strong, now they want to hire skilled talent in that, right? Which is
Right.
where a lot of our students find a lot of great opportunities as they step into the corporate world. Just one last question before we conclude, Prachi. If you were to look back at this journey, almost 1 year, it will soon be 1 year, but still for these 10 months, any one anecdote where it could be related to anything, if it was any project that you were working on, any mentorship that you got from any of the mentors, any one anecdote that was almost like a moment of delight for you, any one aha moment, let's say, that you had to sum it up?
One aha moment that I'll say is while working on the project Budweiser Beats. So I had given my best because it was more of consumer strategy, consumer insights. So I did not even realize I had spent 3 days straight not sleeping for
Wow.
nights, and I was enjoying it, and it did not make me feel that I'm working for it. So while I came to in the classroom to present my pitch, I thought I had killed it. I'm gonna win this competition. But when I got the feedback, that is when I realized that the perceptions that people have are so different, and this is also what you can think of.
Yeah.
So I think Altera is a place where you can be okay being uncomfortable, and if you really had to grow being uncomfortable, this is where you should be. And just trust the process and follow what is there on the way and not think much, and also be ready to unlearn what you have learned before and question everything that is happening. So I think that would be the one thing that I'd say as an anecdote.
Perfect. And any piece of advice that you have to the incoming batch, or also to any prospective applicants, any piece of advice related to the process regarding experience, what they should be expecting? Like, it could be anything. Yeah.
So I'll just share with my experience only that you will be crying yourself to sleep. You will question if you're worth
Don't
it or
scare
not.
them away.
But just hold on to it. Give your best and you will ace it. You will definitely get what you are wanting to become, and you will get what you want. But you just have to be patient enough and be consistent. Show up every day. That is it.
Perfect. I really look forward to, even once you step out and join the corporate world, I really look forward to having you back again, as you become an alumni very soon, and share your experiences of how you are able to, drive the digital mandate for Sleepwell, and share your experience with the next batch also.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Prachi.
Thank you. Lovely talking to you.